Okay, Kerie. We are on the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. My name is Mark Ross, of course, and with me this evening is Kerie Logan. Kerie is a author. She's a hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner. I'll ask you what that is in a minute, and a human consciousness guide. Kerie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Mark. Thank you. Thank you.
So, what is an NLP practitioner?
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Ah, okay.
Yes. There's many different modalities of it. My most favorite two aspects of it is parts therapy and timeline therapy. And why I like them so much is all of us have fragmented parts. So if you experience something traumatic for you, a part of you can separate from the whole. And it can seem like it's self-sabotage, but it always has a positive underlying intent. It's protecting you so you don't get hurt again. So if you had a horrible childhood experience during Christmas, as an adult, you're going to hate Christmas.
Mm.
And it's a sad truth. I actually had a client that hated Christmas. And when I sat him down and talked to him and he shared his story of why he hates Christmas,
Hmm.
I said, but that's not fair. I know you got kids and you're ruining your kids' life
Hmm.
by killing their joy for Christmas. And is that really fair to them because your parents made the mistake, an error in judgment? And the guy said no. And so what you do, and here's the truth, Mark, is when we have those traumatic experiences, that part of yourself is trapped at that age of you being like 8 or 9 or 10 years old. It doesn't know that you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It
Mm.
doesn't know. It's like running in the operating system in the background at this program, always running, running. And so when you slow down your brainwave patterns, and open up the doorway to your subconscious mind and you talk to that wounded part and you tell it, hey, I'm sorry this happened to you. Or it happened to us because it is a part of you. I'm sorry our parents did this to you. I'm sorry you experienced this. And I love you and I want to have you join the main personality. I want you and us to be whole again. And I want to give you a new job. And the job would be whatever it is. And then when you merge and heal that part, you connect it together. When you future pace it, it's really important because you're showing them what life could be. What is the possibility? And so, and the cool thing about that is if you've heard about IFS, internal family systems, there's usually one main part, but then there's lots of other parts behind it. And those other parts could be sitting on the fence because let's say they've been doing this for 20 years, protecting you from getting hurt around the holidays. And so that's why I tell people you need to listen to it for at least 28 to 30 days, because that's how long it takes to create a new habit, a new behavior, because
Sure.
those fragmented parts that are on the fence, it might take them 10 times to join the main personality. I mean, I've had people listen 20 times, and then when they say, oh, it clicked, something just finally clicked, and they feel great, and life is just beautiful, and all that traumatic stuff gets cleared. And the cool thing is you can even do this around generational trauma, which is so fascinating. And I just, I love it when I
Mm.
hear people's success stories and see what happens. It's amazing. And just to let your listeners know, I've been doing hypnotherapy and NLP and coaching for over 20 years. And for the past 15 consecutive years, I've been voted the best for Salem, Oregon. So I must be doing something. So, yes.
Yay. So when you talk about trauma and people that's going through trauma, basically you're saying that people have stuck points.
Yes. So many people get stuck, and it runs your life in the background. How
Hmm.
you think, how you act, how you behave, the beliefs you have. It literally can, your past is impacting your present and future.
Hmm. Can adult people have stuck points?
Oh, all the time.
It doesn't,
All
yeah,
the time.
it doesn't necessarily have to come from your childhood. It could be
No,
something
no,
that
it
happened.
doesn't. I had one gentleman that was literally in his 60s, and when he was in his 20s, I know it sounds embarrassing to say this, but he was raped by two men in an alley in his
Ooh.
20s, and he could not be around other men. He struggled with working with men and being at office parties and stuff, and he didn't know what to do, and he was in his
Mhm.
60s, and I said, "Okay, we're going to do a parts therapy, and we're going to do a timeline, and we're going to heal all of this, and we're going to create a new
Mhm.
narrative in your mind,
Mhm.
a new memory." And the
Yeah.
guy gave me the most amazing testimonial where he's like, "I wish I would have done this 30 years ago. It would have changed my whole life. My whole life. I wish I would have done this." Yeah.
That's interesting to know because when 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 I talk to people and we talk about trauma and we talk about things that, we went through and how it still affects us today, we don't talk about the things that we had to endure as adults. We always talk about the things that happened when we were kids. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why
Yeah.
I asked the question if adults do deal with stuck points as they are adults, or just or going through traumatic episodes, which becomes stuck points, something that you
Well,
can't get over.
you could be an athlete and have a sports injury and your whole career is over.
Mm,
Whole
hmm.
career. You could
Yeah,
have a natural disaster. Your house burns down.
yeah,
That's traumatic. You could be in a
yeah.
car accident. You could have crime, drive-by shootings. You could even hear someone's trauma story and that traumatizes you.
Indeed, indeed. What's a human consciousness guide?
A human consciousness guide is someone that figures out where your stuck point is, and I shift your perspective and your consciousness. I'm literally raising your vibration. I'm getting you out of, let's say, you have a fear-based mindset. I get you out of the fear-based mindset up into courage to where you can view it differently. I have you have the confidence that you can do it and the determination, and I want you to be grounded, balanced, and centered, knowing that you can do it. And so I listen to your pain story and I help you figure out, what did you learn in that situation? How did that make you a better person? What are the gifts that person gave you? And yes, even if that person was horrible and everything, you know, can you actually find forgiveness for them? Can you accept that person for who they are? And let's say they're a jerk, that's okay, they're a jerk, but can you accept them that you need to let this go because it's literally toxic and poison to your body? All these negative thoughts of hate, anger, and fear are toxic and destructive. There's so many books out there that tell us that dis-ease is created by those negative emotions we store within us. And so what I do is I help unravel it, and I help unravel your story where I take the pain and I turn it into power. And I literally shift your perspective to where you can see it by taking the blinders off. You can see the whole thing and you realize that it was just a story. It's just information of the past and it no longer needs to serve you or define you. You can be happy. You can have joy. And I really try to nail in you having the understanding and a deep respect for others in the world and yourself, where you have that emotional intelligence and appreciation for life. Because I'll give a perfect example. There was a friend of mine. I used to be his boss, like 25 years ago. I used to be his boss, and we sat down at lunch, and he was talking to me about his horrible second divorce, horrible experience.
Mm.
And I looked at him and I said, "Do you know what lesson she taught you?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "She gave you a gift, a huge gift. Do you know what that gift was? He's like,
Mm.
no, I don't get it. And I said, well, you just sat here, told me all about what was going on. And you said to me that for the past 2 years, you have been stuck in this salvation attitude of guilt and remorse that you couldn't save your wife that was addicted to drugs. And she was hiding her drug addiction from you. And you still love her unconditionally. And that is the hardest lesson we have to learn is unconditional love. Loving someone that doesn't want to change.
Mm.
Loving someone that's an addict. And the
Mm.
gift that she gave you is you sat here and told me you could have drank your sorrows away. You could have watched porn or gambled or done horrible addictive behaviors, but you didn't. You found God. And you literally just said for the past 2 years, you have been walking with God every single day. And before, God was a takeout, you ordering takeout. And now you are blessed. That's a gift. That's a gift she gave you. Can you see that gift? And he was like, oh my God. And I said, I want you to go home and sit and think about all the lessons she taught you. And when he finally did, he texted me back like 2 months later and he said, I finally got it. Everything snapped. He's like, my list is endless. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because she taught him, I deserve more. I needed to learn about a trauma bonding relationship. I needed to learn
Mm.
about love bombing, what a narcissist person does. And I deserve to be loved just like the way I love her. And I said, so you love her unconditionally. You got to love yourself back unconditionally and know that know your worth, know your value.
Mm.
And he was amazed, and he literally went out of guilt and remorse all the way up into joy and gratitude and appreciation. And that is a gift. And that was a huge lesson. It was a painful lesson, very painful. But that's what I do is I listen to people's pain stories and I help you get unstuck. I help you get out of the victim mentality into a place of self-empowerment.
Mm. And speaking of narcissism, which is the main focal point of this conversation, you authored a book titled "The Undetected Narcissist." What sparked you to write that book?
That's actually my story, my son's story.
Your
And
son.
I was actually guided from up above
Hmm.
to tell that story, to write it, because I found out what my son and I experienced is a crime and in other countries, but it happens every day. It happened to a child and a family today. It happens
Hmm.
every day to families.
Indeed.
And the thing is a lot of courts are not trauma informed. They are not mental health professionals. They
Mm-mm.
do not know about autism. They don't know about PDA, pathological demand avoidance. They don't know about masking. They don't really know about narcissism. And so when you don't know about anything and you're in the dark, people get hurt. And I got hurt, my son got hurt, and it but the beautiful thing is all of that inspired me to do this work so that people don't have to go down that same path that I did. And children aren't getting traumatized and children aren't getting abused. And maybe the legal system will wake up and say, hey, we need to support families better and people better because
Mhm.
other countries are doing it. But here in the US, it happens every day.
Well, not only do we have to wake people up from a legal aspect, I think we need to do more on a moral aspect
Yes.
because so many people are accepting this culture of me, me. It's about me. What can I do? What can me get out of this? You understand what I'm saying?
It's very
How can
self-centered.
I basically is where I'm going with
Yeah.
this. It's very
It's
self-centered.
separation. It's not connection. And
Right.
that's the dangerous thing is you're coming from a mindset of separation. It's all about me. It's all
Sweet.
about greed. It's all about power, prestige, and you don't care who you hurt, or and
Mm-mm.
people are disposable, and it's
Yeah,
wrong. It's wrong.
it's wrong. It very much is. Uh, what defines a narcissist?
Well, there's actually, I think, 7 different types they've
Yeah.
come down to, and the type that I dealt with was the covert narcissist, which actually is one of the more dangerous ones, because the one that I dealt with was shy, nerdy, very quiet, passive aggressive,
Mm.
and drove a violet Kia. He was not prestigious. He was not, you know, inflated ego. He was not, dressing fine and all that stuff. He was the polar opposite,
Mm.
polar opposite. So when someone actually tipped me off, um, a few years before, when I was going through all the crazy stuff with him, saying, "Hey, I think your ex is a narcissist," and I looked it up, all I saw was the grandiose, and I was like, "That he doesn't meet that profile." But here's what I did when I looked at the traits and behaviors of the narcissist as a whole, like what is gaslighting, what's love bombing, what's stonewalling, what's projection, what's baiting, provoking. When I looked at all those definitions, it blew my mind. I was like, holy cow, I get it. I get it. Like, even my husband, his ex-wife was a narcissist, and he didn't know at all. And when he met me and I started telling him, "Sweetie, she does this, she did that to you," because he would tell me his pain story and want to understand, what did I do wrong? How did I fail this marriage? And I said, "No, it was nothing about you. It's about her. And she projected all of it on you and gaslighted you and made you have identity erosion and question yourself and question your sanity. That's what she did." And like most people, when we find this out, we get mad. I mean, most people get mad because we're like, we don't want to say we feel stupid, but I'm just going to say it because this is about talking our truth. You feel stupid.
Hmm.
Feel stupid that you loved someone so much and you trusted them, but you didn't know they were playing these manipulative games on you and
Hmm.
screwing with your mind.
Mm. Mm. Now, I looked up the types of narcissism, and one that you said is overt, then you have covert, you have malignant, you
Yep.
have communal, you have self-righteous, you have neglectful, and you have antagonistic.
Well, you have vulnerable too.
Break that down for me.
The vulnerable one, they see it more in women where they play the victim. Oh, feel sorry
Mm.
for me. My dad was in some ways a vulnerable narcissist as well, where if he did something nice for you, if you did not overly praise him and show complete gratitude, he would get so mad at you
Yeah.
and like you are so ungrateful, and he would punish you and make you feel like crap, and you're always walking on eggshells. So whenever
Eggshells.
he did something nice, you were afraid like, "Oh crap, am I going to ruin this?" And he's going to punish me for this. And so yeah, it impacted, and he always played the victim, like, "I don't understand why people don't like me and this and that, or why my failing divorce." And he would always tell his problems. I mean, I literally was his therapist when I was like 10 years old. He'd take me out in the car and tell me all his problems.
Mm.
And I mean, I think that's where it all started was hearing his divorce problems. But the cool thing was the guidance that came through me was so profound, it just spoke volumes to him. I
Mm.
mean, I just have this gift where I can read people. I can see through the illusion, and I can really get to the root of it. Like, well, maybe it's because of this or maybe because of that. And some people will be like, "Well, how do you know that?" And I just say, "I do." So the vulnerable one is someone that really manipulates you,
Hmm.
really manipulates you, plays the victim, and sometimes they'll even use an illness
Hmm.
as a let's say get out of jail card. You know, like, oh, everything I've done for you and you don't appreciate me and I'm sick again. And I mean, it's a lot of guilt trips, guilt trips, guilt trips, guilt trips, a lot of
Mm,
manipulation.
wow. So here's a question that I'm thinking about. Can a person that was gaslit become a gaslighter?
Yes, you can, because that behavior was modeled to you. So a good example is I had a gentleman come a couple of weeks ago that came to see me for his anger management because he's in a domestic violence program and he drank too much one night and woke up handcuffed. And when I heard his pain story, I said, well, you experienced reactive abuse. And he didn't even know what reactive abuse was. And I said, well, that's because you blacked out. That was from everything you said, it triggered you where you blacked out and something made you just go nuts. Something triggered you from your childhood past trauma. And when he told me, I think he says, my wife and kids tell me I'm a narcissist, but I don't really believe, I don't know. I don't like that word. And when I went to my website, I had a blog post about signs to tell if your partner's toxic. And I read them all down. He was like, check, check, check. And he's like, I guess I am. And I said, okay, so now you know the games that you play. Who taught this to you? And he said, my dad. And he said, my dad did this stuff all the time. And I said, okay, so it was a survival technique. You learned this to survive. There's no shame in that at all. But what you're doing is hurting your family, it's destroying your children's lives. And here you are. And the man was literally crying. And I'm like, here you are crying because you love your wife and you want to fix what you got wrong, but you got to fix yourself.
Mm,
And you got to stop gaslighting people. And here's the beautiful thing, Mark, is when I've gone out and I've taught classes of how to communicate with difficult people, I've literally had narcissists come up to me and thank me for teaching them about their brain and how they are the way that they are. And every single one said the same exact thing, that they could feel when they are slipping out of the frontal lobe cortex brain down into the lizard survival brain. They can feel it. They literally feel themselves going in that, it's like defensive mode. I need to protect myself. And it's a learned behavior. And I said, so every time you feel yourself slipping, think about it as you're at a crossroad. And I want you to take the high road. I want you to tell the person, hey, I really care about you and I'm feeling triggered right now. And I need to walk away. I need to calm down. I need to get grounded, balanced, and centered because I don't want to say anything or do anything that's going to hurt you, the kids, or the family because I love you and
mm.
you're important to me. So I got to walk away and clear my mind. And I said, if you can say that and you can do that, I am high-fiving you. But if you take the low road, you're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to cut that person like a knife and you're going to hurt them.
I'm thinking about my childhood growing up in my neighborhood and what have you. Uh, this narcissism thing, this gaslighting thing, this is sadly it's been going on for decades.
Oh, yeah. And now we're just on to it.
Yes. And the damage has been so great. How families are impacted, how our kids have been impacted, and that they, now that they're adults, are repeating the same cycle of crap because that was all they knew.
And it can be generational trauma because my husband's sister, one of her kids is narcissistic and they're like, we raised him perfectly, we don't understand why he turned out this way. And I said, it's generational trauma. Narcissism can be passed down from generation, but he can clear it, he can heal from it, and he can learn how to be a better human being, but he has to be willing to do it. So don't blame yourself or hate yourself for him turning out this way. It's not your fault. It's generational trauma, but he has to be willing to change.
And that's the problem with narcissists. They don't want to. They don't see the need because, full disclosure, I have a son that's narcissist. He won't admit that he is, but all of his behaviors exhibit narcissism, right? And uh and his mother wasn't very good to him. It wasn't very instrumental in his life. And as a matter of fact, I can go down a whole gamut of the things that was done, as it relates to me and my relationship with my son. But as it is now, uh, you know, this narcissism thing is so strong that we had a conversation with myself, my younger son, and a good friend of his who I look at as a son. We had this little, intervention, so to speak, and uh, the denial that he exhibited was great.
Well, they have to, because their biggest core is shame. They know what they are. They really do, and they use denial as an escape out of jail card, but not until, like, that one guy hit rock bottom. He has a restraining order, his wife does. He feels horrible about it. Not until something traumatic happens will they start to kind of look into changing. But they
Mm,
have to be willing to do it. It's like what they love has to be taken away from them.
mhm, mm.
It
Yeah,
really does. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
and I have a family member, that's narcissistic as well. And and there's a technique that I've taught myself, and it blows my son away that I can do this. Because one of the steps about mastering, yourself as a human consciousness guide is accepting everybody for who they are, even a narcissist. So when I'm around this family member, I think about their words as seeds blowing in the wind. And when they say something that's designed to trigger me, I realize this fact: the only person that's going to grab that seed is me. The only person that's going to water it is me, with my anger, my disappointment, how dare you, this and that, and get argumentative, and it grows roots and it festers and it makes you mad. And so what I've learned is, do I want to punish myself that way and grab their seed that wants to hurt me and wants to trigger me, or do I let it blow on by? And so there was one moment where we were having a deep conversation about my mother with this family member, and they were cutting her down, and I was having sympathy and compassion for my mom, and they didn't really like it, and they said, "Well, your rambling sounds like you're schizophrenic." And I knew it was a seed. And I knew that that was a sign I should just shut up, because there's no point in arguing or anything with this person. That's their opinion. I don't agree with it. So I let it go. And when that person left, my son came right up to me and said, "How dare they talk to you like that? That was so rude. Aren't you mad? Aren't you furious?" And I
Mm,
started laughing and I said, "Sweetie, you grabbed their seed. It was meant for me, not meant for you.
mhm,
You don't need to defend me. I let it go.
mm,
I knew exactly what game they were playing, and I
mhm.
didn't take the bait." Yeah, and even when they left, they were like, "Oh my God, I love you so much. It was so great seeing you." They gave me hugs and all of that. And he was
Yeah.
just furious. And I'm like, "Dude, you got to learn to let the little things go. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Mm.
Anything. I love this person, but I don't like them. And
Oh,
sometimes
oh,
what I don't like is their behavior, the way they
mhm,
treat me, the way they talk to me, but I love
mhm,
them.
mm.
I just don't like the way they act and behave. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's a
Nothing
nugget.
wrong with that.
That's a nugget right there. You can love anybody, you just don't like the behavior.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. And we try talking to my son, and you know, the walls, was so apparent. And I had to hit him with this conversation. I had to say to him, and I meant this, you are going to find yourself all alone. Nobody's going to be able to talk to you. Nobody's going to be able to help you. You're going to fall on your ass. And when you look up, there's nobody's going to be there. This is you. This is a you battle. I'm only telling you what I see and what it is. It is what it is. This is something that you have to do the work on. And I also said this to him when he was younger. I said, son, you are the author of your own destruction. You caused the problem, and then you act as if you didn't create the problem. You hear what I just said?
I do. And this is what I teach, and here's how I would put it. I always tried it. So have you heard about the sandwich approach?
No.
The sandwich approach is the bread is the positive, the meat is the issue at hand. You never use a you statement unless it's positive. If you have to use a you statement, you say we or us, and you use a lot of I. So how I would have presented it was say, son, I really love you. I really love you. And I see the struggles that have been happening.
Mhm.
And I really want to support you, because I know that there are times where we as humans, instead of saying you, but we as humans, this can happen and that can happen. And why we use that language is it takes their disarmament off. You're being real. And you say, I know a lot of people don't know this, but it does take their disarmament off. It
Yes.
does. And
Yeah.
you say, like, I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid this is going to happen, and I would like to see that be avoided. It's really tricky, because you got to really
It
be
is.
mindful about how you're going to say it, and
Yeah.
say, you know, I'm afraid one day that and you can say you here, that you'll be alone, and that breaks my heart. And I see how people are pushed away right and left and right and left, and it's hurting you, and it's hurting my heart. And I want to find a solution to where, have you how we can maybe fix this. Is there something that we can do? And but there's a way. You got to sit
Yeah.
down. It is always best to sit down and write it out,
Yeah.
because it is hard, like what you were just saying, to come out directly and figure out the formula. But I always end it with the positive, like, I really love you, and I really care about you, and I'm concerned about the future, your future. And I see the struggles that you have, and I have compassion for you. And I pray for you every day that you're going to find your way, and that, hopefully something good is going to happen. But right now I'm concerned. I'm
Mm.
concerned because I care.
Yeah. And I had to learn when he was younger, high school years, as a matter of fact, I had to learn, and I told my wife this. I said I had to learn to talk to him different.
You do.
I had to really learn to talk to him different, because he was always defensive. Always defensive. It's like I could say the sky is blue. What you mean? It was like it was always a debate.
Well, it's
And I had to.
internalized shame too, and it could be also the generational trauma,
Oh,
where
absolutely. Yeah.
that's why it's so important to find out what happened to your parents, your grandparents. What did they experience? Your wife's side of the family, what did they experience? And if you can notice the patterns within him, like, is he, always in denial? Well, who else in the family was always in denial? Who
His
else
mother,
in the family? Yeah. Who else in the family was always deflecting the truth? Who else?
his mom.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was interesting how when I start to talk to him from a different lens, that I got more conversation out of him.
Yes, you do.
He was still lying
I know.
because now I've learned that narcissists are habitual liars,
Pathological liars.
pathological liars,
Yeah.
and he couldn't tell the truth if he had the script to say it. But I just spoke my piece. I said what I had to say to him, and he spoke back. And it's like, oh, okay. So you do kill more bees with flies with honey. So I had to honey it up,
Yes,
right?
you do.
So the more I honeyed it up, the more I got out of him. But I still had to let him know, like, hey, what you said wasn't true, but it's okay. It's okay because I still wanted him to talk. I didn't want him to know, well, I didn't want him to know that, I was feeling a certain type of way because I busted him in a lie, because then
Right.
he closed up and he wouldn't talk anymore. So I had to keep it going. I had to keep it going, and the more I got out of him, it was like, there's some things going on with you that A is really affecting you personally, and two, you're not telling me. So what's really going on? And he never really told, well, he told me a little bit about his upbringing and what have you. And I got the gist of it through his uncle years later. Yeah. So when his uncle came up to me and bombshelled me about, what he had to go through growing up, it, uh, eh,
It's
yeah,
heartbreaking.
it was. It
Yeah,
was.
it
It
is
was.
heartbreaking. And the thing is the same thing with my son. Like I didn't even put it in the book. There's a section where my son just this year came out where he was with his dad and by accidents called him mom, and his dad hit him so hard that he fell and hit his head on the back of a coffee table and blacked out. He never told me any of that. Any of that. It literally took him what, 5, 6 years to come out and confess that truth of that one abusive experience. And he was totally traumatized. He was out cold for he doesn't know how long.
Mm,
And that's the thing is there's so much shame, so much guilt, so much they and here's the thing about kids is they feel like maybe I deserve that. Maybe I am such a bad person.
mm,
Maybe I am broken. Maybe I'm not good enough.
mm,
Maybe I'm not lovable. Maybe I'm unworthy. And that's where all those core wounds happen.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so he doesn't want to tell you because he knows it's maybe going to break your heart.
Yeah. But it would, I
It
guess,
would help you to know.
yes, yes. And right. Anyway, it helped me to know so I can understand how to maneuver around that and help him. But
Right.
it
And
goes, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
and
sorry.
so the only way I would do is I would just encourage him to maybe talk to someone about really what happened and say, I realize that it's your past is influencing and impacting your life today in a negative manner. And that concerns me because I've heard bits and pieces of what happened to you, and I am so sorry about it. It breaks my heart. And I want you to live a life of joy and happiness, but I see this is impacting and influencing it. So, I just want to put out there that whatever support you need, I'm here for you as a father, as a man. I know I didn't know about this stuff, and I wish I
Yeah,
would have when you were younger. I
yeah.
apologize for that. But I'm standing here now telling you, hey, I'm here for you, buddy. Let's, let's do this.
Mhm,
And because the thing too is he might be mad. That's interesting. He might be mad at you in some way that you weren't there for him and you couldn't protect him or save him from that.
mhm. Yeah,
That just
absolutely.
came in. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Totally. And like you said too, I also told him that too, that I'm here,
Good.
and I I wish that I was there then,
Yeah.
but you're the other side of your family and their relatives and whatnot, they protected you. Well, they hid you from me in that regard.
Right.
So I did not know one way or the other what was going on in her household or in your life in that matter over there.
See, and
So,
that's hard because the kid doesn't have a coping skills as an adult. Like a child's coping skills are like the size of a dime, but ours is like a silver dollar. It's huge. Their frontal lobe cortex doesn't fully develop until they're 25. And so they always internalize it like, what's wrong with me? They feel they're broken and all of that. And they're not. They're just so confused.
mm, hmm hmm speaking of confusion, what what is trauma bonding?
Ooh, trauma bonding. Well, let me give you a good example.
Hmm
When when people go out and they date, if you grow up in a toxic home where there's arguing, fighting, people use words that, are weaponized and stuff, your nervous system gets conditioned to that kind of environment. And so when you meet someone that has that same dynamic, it is a trauma bond. Okay. And you both were coming from damaged, broken homes, and you can relate to one another.
Yeah.
And you have the push and pull, the hot, the cold, all of that. And when you meet someone that did not come from that home environment, they're boring. They're so
Mm,
boring. You're just like, there's no
mm,
excitement, there's no thrill, there's no fun in that. But that person's safe. That person's 100% safe. The one that had all the chaos and all that stuff, that's the one that is not safe. They're not. And so when people meet first time, they usually tell their horrible nightmare breakup story. Oh, this person did that. And the other person is like, oh, this happened to me too. But nobody asks, what did you do to heal from that? How
no,
did you become a better
mm,
person from that experience? What
mm,
lessons did you learn?
mm,
What have you done to not be a better person, an angry person? We don't ask those questions. We
mm,
don't. We just have common ground, common ground. And so
ground.
we think, oh, this is my person. These are my people. And you still have the trauma in you and you haven't healed.
Mm. How can someone regain their sense of power after dealing with a narcissist?
You got to learn the games that they play. And you
Mm,
got to learn when you enter, and you got to heal yourself. I mean, healing really happens in layers, because if you don't heal yourself and you don't heal your nervous system, you're going to
mhm.
go out and meet the same exact type of person, the same exact scenario,
Yeah.
different faces, different names, but same MO. You're gonna, and it happens over and over and over. I literally posted something about toxic relationships and what they don't tell you, and why it feels like you're dying when you're leaving them. Because really what happens is that your nervous system got so wired for the fight and flight that it is the death of the old self. You're literally having, it becomes an addiction, and you're having withdrawals. That's why a lot of people go back. They go back because it's so familiar, and they cling to the hope. And the
Mm,
thing is you're not mourning the loss of the person, you're mourning what they promised you. Those The happy fairy tale ending, that's what you're mourning, not the person. And I want people to realize there's no shame in any of that. It's your body, it's your nervous system responding to how it was conditioned and groomed. It's if you know about intermittent validation, it talks all about that, where they love bomb you, they fill you with all this love and appreciation, and then when they know they got you hooked like a drug, they cut back, and you're having withdrawals. And so you start accepting only breadcrumbs, and you get conditioned to only accept breadcrumbs, and you're being abused or verbally abused daily, daily. waiting, holding on for the moment that they're going to be nice to you again. And sometimes it doesn't happen for months or years. You know, you cling on to that hope of what was or what could have been. And it's so damaging and so destructive.
And that leads to reactive abuse, does it?
It does, yes. And it does lead to reactive abuse because you can get so mad that you snap. And when you snap, you can literally do something that you will regret, and you could end up in jail. You could end up losing your kids. You could end up losing your job. I mean, it's a horrible thing to happen.
Mm, okay, okay. How can a narcissist, I mean, I think we talked about this already, but I mean, really, how can a narcissist change?
Well, this is what I did for one man, and he was clearly narcissistic when I met him. And I like to find leverage. And if you have kids, that is your leverage. And so
Mm,
with this one guy, he was thinking about, he literally wanted to die. He said, the only reason I'm alive is for my daughter. I hate myself. I hate everything that I do. I hate my life. The only reason why I'm alive for my daughter.
mm,
And I said, but your daughter needs you. And I said, I don't know why I'm being guided to do this, but it's not really for you. It's more for her. But what I'm being guided is, I know deep down you want to be a good man, don't you? And he said, yes, I do. And I don't know how. And I said, well, let me tell you this. Every time you yell at your wife, every time you throw things or have a tantrum or have explosive anger, you are teaching your daughter's unconscious mind that that's what love is. That's a marriage. That's a relationship. And she's going to go out and meet a
mm,
man just like you.
mm,
And it's
mm,
going to ruin her and destroy her. Do you want that for your little girl? And he was like, no, I don't. And I said, so you need to control your temper and you need to become a better man. And so what I told him to do was to take his cell phone and make videos of his daughter laughing and playing and joy. See the light in her eyes, literally see the light in her eyes, and have her giggling. Take videos of your wife, videos with you. And whenever you get mad, because he basically said he worked for the devil, I said, every time you get mad, instead of having a smoke break, I want you to go outside and look at your phone and watch those videos and say to yourself in your mind or out loud, I am doing this for us. I am doing this for us. I'm going to be a better man. I'm going to be a better dad for you guys. I'm
mm,
doing this for us.
mm,
And he said it totally changed his life, his perspective. I mean, he said he still struggles with his demons, but every
sure,
day he's trying to walk the path of being a better man.
sure.
And just, what was it? I think about 2 months ago, it was his 40th birthday, and he said, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. And he shared his YouTube channel where now he's posting inspirational stuff.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I was like, I am so
Right on.
happy for this man.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes,
But
indeed.
he had to do the work. His actions had to match his words.
Hmm. Key word, do the work.
Yeah.
Key word. Let me ask you this question, Kerie. Is there such a thing as narcissism in the workplace?
Oh, you're
I
making me laugh.
take that as a yes.
That's a definite yes. Oh my God, it's definite yes.
What does that look like?
Oh, it's hard. It's really, really hard. There's a great movie to watch, and it's actually I think it was a mini series on Hulu. It was about Uber, the guy that started, I guess, Uber or Lyft, and the guy was clearly narcissistic. I mean, he would cut corners, he would undermine people, he would steal what he thought was his or rightfully his. He
Mm,
did not respect people. People were disposable. I mean, everyone was walking on eggshells. It's a very dysfunctional, unhealthy work environment. It really is. And the hard part is you could be someone new coming in and they will love bomb you. You're perfect. You're great. Oh my God, this new person, take you to all these business meetings and stuff. But once they got you hooked and they ask you to do something that you don't want to do, well, now they're black and white thinking. It's either you're with me or against me. And when you get on their enemy list, you better watch out, because they will do whatever they can to either get you to quit because they don't
Mm.
want to fire you,
Mhm.
but they'll make your life a living hell.
Workplace violence. Yeah.
It pretty much is, yes. I mean, it can be verbal abuse. I had one boss, oh my God, and HR literally sat me down when I left. This was when I was, I think, about 20. Oh God, I think I was, no, I was maybe I think about maybe 28 or so. But my boss was a VP of this in the wine business, and he would take his chair. We were in cubicles. He would literally take his desk chair and throw it across the room. He ripped out his phone. He would bang on his keyboard. And I heard him call people, the sales reps, the worst, most horrible things. No one did anything about it.
Mm.
Anything about it, because he brought money in. And that's all they cared about, was he was great at sales, great at bringing money in, but not great at treating people. Horrible man. And I left because of him. I literally left because of that guy, and they sat me down wanting to know if it was because of him. And I said, nope, I'm just leaving because, I'm not a good fit for this place anymore. Because they didn't care what I had to say, because I went
Right.
and complained so many times, so many times.
All, so basically it boils down to the bottom line, which is money.
Yes. And so you got to tell yourself, if you have a boss that's like that, that is abusing you, the money's not worth it. I don't
Mm.
care if you're getting what, $1 less or $2 less an hour, it's still not worth it. It's
No.
not worth your peace of mind. You go home and you're probably drinking your sorrows away. You're binge eating, you're doing addictive behaviors to escape the nightmare at work.
Mm.
You wake up every day hating to go to the job. That's
Mm.
not living, you're just existing.
Mm. That's another nugget.
And I
That was
like it when you do that, when you go, I like that.
why?
I just think it's so cool. It's like, she got
Yeah,
me.
right. I felt that. I felt that. That's why I'm like, oh, yeah, man. Here's an interesting question, Kerie. Uh, is narcissism different? Uh, uh, is narcissism in women different from narcissism in men?
They use it in different ways. It's the same, but the weapon is used differently. Like, women really know how to, let's say, charm and seduce the pants off a man. They know how to manipulate you guys. They know how to use their body, their looks, the way they dress, all of that. They know how to
Yeah.
how to love bomb you dudes. And we all, and us women all have that joke. You guys have a second head and you use that one more than you use this one.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
all heard we've all heard that. And
yeah.
so they know how to do it differently. They know how to manipulate in different ways, but it is still the same manipulation.
Right.
It's just different. And that's why you got to learn what are the rules of engagement, because it is a game. It really is a game. And that's why I tell everybody, when you're meeting someone new, you don't jump into bed. You don't rush into anything. You take it slow motion. And if that
Hmm.
person won't go slow mo with you, then they're not the one for you, because they're probably trying to love bomb you. And there's nothing wrong with love bombing, because it feels great to be appreciated and this and that. But when you feel like something's not right, like someone will say, oh, you're the most beautiful woman in the world. That might not be true. There's always someone that's more beautiful. You might be the most beautiful in their eyes, but what really's always mattered to me is the inner beauty. Because I have met women, Mark, that are gorgeous, flawless on the outside, but
Mm,
are so ugly and
ugly.
hate themselves, screaming on the inside.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And sadly, I think that happens more than we care to admit.
You got to take it slow. I mean, you can look at the outer beauty, but what is inside of that shell?
Hmm.
Is it hollow? Is it dark? Is it ugly? Or is it just as beautiful as the outside? And that takes time. It's not going to happen in 1 month or 2 months. You got to take the relationship slow. You got to, become friends, ask deep questions. What are your core values?
Mm.
Ask these things, have these deep conversations. If they had a bad childhood, well, how what have you done? You know, have you talked to anyone about it? Because if they don't, you'll see those patterns come out.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's why I tell people when you go on a date, I have these images that I talked about before. How do they treat the waiter? How do they talk to the waiter? How do they treat the staff? Are they flirting with other people in front of you to try to make you jealous? Or are they being respectful and kind to you? Do they open the door for you? Or do they talk nice about their friends and family? And their exes. What do they say about their exes? Oh, if she's a crazy one, well, what makes you think he's not going to say you're a crazy one too?
Mm.
Because I'll talk about my son's father, but I'll say, I forgive him, and I love him. I do love him, even though he did horrible things. But why I love him is he was my greatest teacher, greatest teacher, inspired me to do this work that I do.
Mm.
That's a gift.
I was about to lean my head back again, like, oh.
It is. Well, and
Yeah.
we have a son together, and my son is a gift and a blessing. I wish him only the best. I do not like him, period. Would I want to sit down and have lunch with him? Hell no.
Absolutely not.
I would not, but I
Right,
do
right.
respect him. I want him to have a happy life. I wish only the best for him. I don't like him. Yeah, he did horrible things,
Mm.
but he has to live with that. Those were his choices, his actions, not mine.
Hmm. Hmm. How can people get your book?
Well, it's on Amazon.
Okay, okay. And
Yep.
just on Amazon or
No, you can. It's easier just to get it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. Yeah.
okay, okay.
And there's lots of stuff on season 4 right now, the Undetected Narcissist. I tell you how to forgive the unforgivable, tell you exactly what I did. I talk about how healing happens in layers. I talk about the walls we build and how to dismantle them.
Mm, mm,
I
mm,
talk
mm,
about the human experience versus the soul perspective, how to get unstuck. I talk
mm,
about men that were taught not to feel and how to change that. I'm going to post something next week about generational trauma, how to heal it. And the really cool thing is, I've included free meditations in all of it. All of it. So you listen to the pre talk and then you do the meditation, which helps you clear, like why people cheat. I want you to understand why people cheat. Like I want you to understand clutter and hoarding, people that are shopaholics, why, and I give healing tools and modalities. So all of it is designed to, and it's free. I mean, it's like I'm being called to do this, so I'm doing it. It's free. It's to make
mm.
the world a better place because if we look at the world right now, it sucks. Okay? It sucks.
It sucks hard.
It does. And a lot of people need help and support. And I'm trying to do what I can. I listen to the inner calling and it's like, okay, I'm here to serve and let's do it.
Amen to that. How can people reach you, Kerie?
You can email me. Email is actually the best. And you can even text me. I do offer a free 15-minute consultation. You want to talk to me? We can do it either over Zoom. We can do it over the phone. You tell me your situation, I tell you what I get. And if money's the issue, I always tell you too, like, okay, this is what my recommendation is, try this. And I mean, if I feel like I'm not a good fit, I'll tell you who else to try. But,
Mhm.
I like to offer that free consult to just see. And I've had people tell me, like, I've been 15 years in therapy, counseling, and you nailed me in 10 minutes. How'd you do that? And it's just, I'm really good at what I do. I'm just really good at it. And I'm here to help you get unstuck. I mean, really, that's why I'm here.
Mhm. Gary, you've unloaded a lot of gems during this conversation, and I greatly appreciate this conversation that we had. Greatly. Um, I wish nothing but the best for you and your book. And do you have anything else coming up in the near future, or you're just going day to day?
I'm pretty much just going day to day. I'm going to be finishing up soon, season 4 of the Undetected Narcissist, and going back over to the other podcast, Master the Upper Rooms of Human Consciousness, because I want to dive in more about how people can, let's say, accept their body,
Okay.
and more in-depth things of really shifting people's perspectives, of accepting themselves, of finding forgiveness, of really understanding how they can master their mind and master themselves. Really not have our past, cloud or influence anything, but how can you be the best version of you? And you're not masking it or pretending it, you embody it.
Mm, mm.
You walk the talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Kerie Logan. Uh, Her book is free. Get it on Amazon, ladies and gentlemen, or go to your podcast, right? Master the Upper Rooms.
You can go, there's two websites. There's Undetected Narcissist and there's Master the Upper Rooms. On Master the Upper Rooms, there's free images, free audios, free ebooks. There's on Undetected Narcissist, there is some free stuff on there as well. Free images, free audios. There is I know there's a free ebook on there, but both of those, there's free stuff. And you can Google my name. It's spelled Kerie, last name Logan. I'm all over in YouTube, and I even got free meditations on Insight Timer that people can listen to as well. So
All right, all right. Kerie, once again, it's been a pleasure taking this time out to speak with you and share that good knowledge because you brought the heat.
I always do.
You brought the heat, and I really appreciate the heat because I've learned some things, and I think that learning about this particular topic is important because there's a lot of people out there that are really probably wondering, like, is there something wrong with me, or am I tripping? Or, am I getting love bombed or am I getting, gaslit? I mean, these are things that are going on and people they're on cruise control with this shit, to be quite frank. And many unaware people are being hurt
They are.
by this.
They are. And that's that. So my kind of philosophy is, like, if I had an elevator pitch, think about your kid graduating from high school and he's going to dive into the deep end of the ocean of life. And some of them are going to swim and some of them are going to sink. And the thing is the ones that are going to sink are the ones that are in the dark, that don't know about narcissism. They don't know about mental health. They don't know, about trauma or trauma bonding relationships, and people are going to get hurt. But here's the important thing is someone like you and me, Mark, are like a lifeboat, and we hand them a life vest, and we give them that support they need, so then they can understand and they can maybe learn to swim through life instead of always sinking and drowning.
That part, because
Yeah.
many people are.
Many people are, and I want the suffering to end. Because imagine a world where we all accepted one another and there was peace and cooperation and understanding and compassion and patience. There would not be war. There would not be violence or homeless people or any of that. There would be more community and connection and oneness. And that's the world I want.
Okay. All right.
Made you think.
Yeah. This conversation has definitely made me think and reflect,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. But at any rate, I want you to come back for another discussion,
Yeah.
because we could talk for hours about this. But
Everyone says that. Everyone that meets me, my husband's like, "Oh, who's inviting you back now?"
yeah, and I think there's more conversation that needs to be had on this and other topics that you are proficient at. So
Yeah.
I definitely will welcome a second interview with you sometime in the near
Thank
future.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. And for those who have been paying attention to our podcast, I thank you for taking the time to listen to the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. If you haven't done so, subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast channel. And as I always say, ladies and gentlemen, it's okay to not be okay. Just do something about it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening. Kerie, you have a good evening as well.
You too, and many blessings.
Thank you, you as well. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.